All right, this 22nd meeting will come to order. We'll first start with the approval of the agenda as published. Second. Commissioner Farnsworth, second. Any discussion? Approval of the agenda. We will move to the invocation brought to us by Pastor Rob Williams from Newberry Church of the Rising King, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
May we pray. Father, your word tells us in the very beginning that you made this world, you called it good, and you gave it to us. You said, have dominion. And so we pray tonight that as we exercise the role that you have given to us, that you would give us vision. We pray that you would give us compassion. We pray that you would give us a sense of importance, that eternal matters might take place here tonight. I pray your blessings upon this group that's gathered, both for doing business as well as those who are looking on. We thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Clark.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah. Thank you, gentlemen. First presentation is the introduction of our new Director of Community Development. Mike, you got this one?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. I would like to introduce Stacy Hectus. Stand, would you, Stacy? So, Stacy is joining us officially today. We've been pretty excited about her coming. I think I've mentioned it in every city commission meeting since she accepted the position. So, Stacy, just a couple highlights. She's 18 years of experience as a planner. She's been rural county, most recently with Alachua County, and she's been more urbanized Florida, Winter Park, Florida, and I think she's had a couple of other stints in there. But so she's been very sophisticated, seen municipal things, and she's been smaller with less resources, and we just got to make it happen. So I think she brings a really exciting breadth of work and what we're seeing, and so she'll be immediately able to help us advance our planning department. I think she has a great temperament. So just wanted to introduce her to y'all. You'll see her present very quickly. She's getting up to speed. We've had a couple meetings today. Big full plate, as y'all know, of things that we're working on, both comp plan, updating our LDRs. We're looking at CDCs. Y'all know that. So she will, as they say, drinking from her fire hose. I expect for the first year that's exactly what it's going to feel like. But when you get an opportunity to introduce yourselves, I request that you do, and look forward to working with Stacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stacy. All right. And that's Stacy with an E.
Yes.
Stacy with an E. All right. Next item is public announcements, set aside for 2-minute announcements. Nothing controversial, more just a FYI stuff. Anything? Brandy, come.
Not on the agenda?
This is public announcements, yard sale, Lions Club.
Yard sale. You know what I want to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's move that. We'll do that at the end, but it should be a short meeting.
Okay.
You got it. And you'll have 5 minutes then.
Thank you.
No problem. Next item is the consent agenda. Several items on those. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
All right, got a motion made by Commissioner Coleman, seconded by Monty Farnsworth. Well, there's no discussion on consent agenda items, but all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Consent agenda passes. Item number 6, adoption of the preliminary fiscal year 2025 property tax rate. And Assistant City Manager Dallas has that one for us.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners. As we discussed at your budget workshop last Tuesday, tonight the Commission will be adopting the preliminary millage rate for the fiscal year 2025 budget. So the recommended action is that you set the preliminary millage rate as a rate as determined by yourselves and adopt the corresponding resolution. As a reminder, the rate tonight is the highest rate that the commission can adopt for the fiscal year 2025 budget. You may lower the rate at your final budget hearings in September, but you may not increase it. And the rate that you adopt tonight will be what's advertised on your trim notices that'll be mailed out to all of your property owners. At our budget workshop last week, we discussed a number of millage rate options. The first is 5.9000, which is the current year's millage rate. The continuation budget is balanced at that same millage rate, so no increase. Requires a simple majority vote, and there'd be no impact to our residents. There's an option to increase it by 1/10 of a mil, which would add enough funding for us to complete the road assessment study and implement road assessments next fiscal year. That would be about $20 a year for the average resident. Again, that's a simple majority vote. And then there's the 6.5 mil option, which would generate enough funding for you to issue debt service for the paving of Southwest 46th Avenue, or another road project at this commission's direction. That would generate just shy of $470,000 a year for that debt service payment. That would be about $120 average impact to your residents. And as a reminder, that would require a supermajority or four votes out of 5 at the final hearings in September. So staff's looking for direction for what millage rate you'd like to adopt. Again, as a reminder, this is the cap. You cannot increase above this for this year, but you can always lower it at the September hearings.
Very good. Mr. Attorney, you want to read the resolution 2024-29?
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem, this is resolution number 2024-29, resolution determining the proposed millage rate, the current year rollback rate, and the date, time, and place of the first. President City Manager to change, directing the Chief Financial Officer to file said resolution with the property appraiser pursuant to the requirements of Florida statutes, rules, and regulations of the Department of Revenue, provided that the appropriate motion is passed, resolution 2024-29, and maker of the motion will have to tell us what millage rate you want to insert in.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Attorney. Okay, so as restating what he said, we can leave it at the 5.9, go to the 6, or increase it to the 6.5, again, as the cap. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I move we set the millage rate at 5.9.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, well, okay. Well, we have a motion by Commissioner Farnsworth, a second by Commissioner Clark. We can go further and debate that. If we don't want to do that after the debate, we can vote it down. We'll entertain another motion. Totally up to you guys, whatever you want to do. Commissioner Maylon has the floor.
So we're going to disregard 46 Ave, or?
Essentially, that would.
Here was my thought. We slept on this. We got this. Oh, go ahead.
Is that all you have?
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Clark.
I said in the beginning, I went home, slept on this one, and, you know, when it's put before you like it was, we got all this money, all this debt, 30 years of debt, and we talked about putting it in the citizens' hands, and that's where I'm at. Leave the millage rate, and if they vote on it, then we'll raise it up to whatever we got to do to get the money to do the big money. Instead of one, we'll do the big one. So that's where I was at with it.
Mr. Mayor, to the commissioner's point, if it is the commission's intention to go to general obligation bond to put it to a vote, staff would recommend you adopt a 6.000 millage to give us the wiggle room to hire attorneys to draft those documents. At the 5.9, there is no funding for us to go to a...
This is to put it on the ballot?
Yes, sir. We would need some sort of room in the budget to hire those attorneys.
I'll admit, I was out of town for the budget meeting, so I didn't have the privilege of all the discussion that y'all had, but if the interest is to entertain that, we need to vote down the 5.9, entertain a new motion to go to the 6. So it's totally, we haven't voted on the first one yet. Any further discussion on the 5.9? Seeing none, any discussion from the public at the 5.9?
Yeah.
Go ahead, ma'am. Just come up and introduce yourself for the record.
Brandy Oldman, hi. Just wondering about the 6.0 It's $20 a year based on how much your property is worth? Can you make,
$200,000 value.
might be much less than that. Okay,
So yours wouldn't be the $20.
I'm okay with that then, thank you.
Okay. No, it's a good question. So based on the $200,000 house is what those numbers,
If the maker of the motion.
That's true.
Want to just. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, if the maker of the motion wishes to amend it, then, or you can vote up or down the 5.9, whatever y'all.
And again, this is the cap, can always be lowered at another meeting.
yes, sir.
I would
Commissioner Farnsworth?
amend my motion to 6.0. Is that it? Thank you.
The seconder want to?
Second.
Okay. You got that, Madam Clerk?
I do, thank
The motion on the floor is now to be at the 6 with a second at the 6. Any further discussion on that at this time?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Mazon?
Dallas, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So, in order to get infrastructure on 46 improved, will we have to be at the 6.5, or could it be in between 6.5 and 6.0?
Mr. Mayor, based off of the cost estimates that we've received, the only way to go to a millage less than 6.5 would be to alter the proposal, the construction plan for Southwest 46 to go to a different type of construction or a different scope of work, which I think the manager could probably speak to better about the scope of work, but
That
what's
makes
been
sense.
proposed by Public Works requires a 6.5.
Because of the last conversation we had, I think, in order to get the bonds qualification going on. Yeah, so I'm a strong believer of infrastructure comes before. I mean, there's a lot that's going to be going on Bronson Road with Coleman, that development, and with the Twin Pairs, and all that traffic's going to be congested. That's 2027. This road will be done within 12 months. Yes, it'll be 30 years in debt, but I personally believe that with the houses coming in, because this is based off of the houses that we already have now, that with the upcoming houses would actually take that 30 years to a little bit less. So I'm for the 6.5. I'm rip the Band-Aid off, move forward, get the infrastructure in. That's just me.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman?
Actually, I was the one that brought up that we put it in front of our constituents.
Okay.
We're only talking till the election in March or April? April.
Second Tuesday, April.
April, second Tuesday. And bring it before the public to make that decision. Because I don't feel comfortable with that amount of money to not, I mean, that's a lot of money to put in 30 years. So we need our citizens to be able to have a voice in this. And that's where I'm at.
Okay. Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Another question on that. If you raise the millage rate, say to the 6.5.
Yeah.
Is that just to repave Southwest 46? Or do we have any other infrastructure on the north side coming?
No.
Okay.
If it goes to, if my understanding is correct and it goes to a referendum, was discussion about trying to take a citywide approach and
That's
get
correct.
a referendum on the ballot that would be on the ballot for everybody to vote for multiple projects, not just 46th Avenue. That make sense?
Okay.
And
Go ahead.
Commissioner Mazon has the
No,
floor.
I want to, because the only reason I'm asking for, I mean, there are certain things I feel that our constituents need to be involved in, honestly. But with this one, because the millage rate could always be lowered, correct?
Correct.
Right. So, that's why 30 years to me, it's not going to be 30 years. Because as houses get built, which houses will be built within the next 10, 15, 20 years. And I just feel that it'll be one of those deals where it offsets, and then you can lower the millage rate back down to 6 as the debt gets.
My only thought about that is you would have to have future commissions buy into taking that extra tax received and putting it towards that debt.
Why wouldn't you?
Which they, Well, I'm just saying,
Out of curiosity.
I'm just saying,
I mean, if we're gonna like take it to a vote and say the city
Yeah.
goes, say the
I'm
constituent says,
just bringing the point up. They may or may not, that's all.
if the constituent says, let's do it, we paid extra money on it, and then now we got more debt. So I just feel that some things you do go to your citizens about, and every citizen that I've talked to, they're always talking about the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Putting the cart before the horse or horse before the cart, And I feel that in this case, this is my opinion, I just feel that over the course of 15, 30 years, which I don't think it'll be 30 years, this is my opinion, that when houses get built, we could actually,
Right.
that debt weakens.
Well, if that's true, then the referendum probably would pass, I guess. And I think the benefit of the referendum route is, well, as Ms. Oldman said, you get a bigger package of roads, including 46th.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Manager, do you have something you wanted to add?
I was just speaking to Ms. Oldman's comment and reminding the commission, we have some $4 million worth of road projects that are in next year's budget, not including this one. So I am an advocate for infrastructure projects. Will continue to be, but I don't want us to get so focused on this one project that we forget. There are projects in the north side of State Road 26 that will be reconstruction road projects in next fiscal year's budget as well.
Okay, any further discussion then at this time? All right, I will take a vote. All those in favor of the 6 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay. The ayes have it, simple majority. Motion passes.
Thank you.
So the max will be the 6. That's what we'll publish. 4 to 1. Sorry. All right, number 7, voluntary requests for annexation into 3 areas continues for the city. Note, after the presentation, Attorney Walker will need you to read the ordinance by title only, then accept the motion on that ordinance and vote on that ordinance. Jean Paul, you have the floor.
Pro Tem, there is some law out there, it's really authored by Scott Makar, who was a judge on the first DCA, just moved over to the 5th DCA when Jacksonville split off from the first DCA. So I always say Scott Makar grades my papers, and he was the city attorney in the city of Jacksonville, and he authored a law review article that posits the theory that annexations are quasi-judicial. So in an abundance of caution, since Scott Makar grades my papers, I would suggest that we have you sworn in, or anybody that wants to speak on this.
All right. We'll put that in the future agendas then. Madam Clerk, take it over.
Anyone else want to give testimony?
John Paul Perez.
Do you hereby swear or affirm the testimony you have given is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You have indeed.
All right, Mr. John Paul, let me read this through. We're going to be entering into the quasi-judicial procedure. This means that the commission will stop being a legislative body and will become a judicial body, which means that we have to follow certain rules and adhere to different standards of decision-making. The primary rule we must follow concerns testimony, and the substantial and competent evidence standard must be met when the judicial board makes a decision. This standard states the following: all public testimony will be given under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to experts. Closing argument will be limited to the evidence of record. Now we'll have the city attorney read the ordinance or resolution by title only.
Mr. Chair, this is ordinance number 2024-16, an ordinance of the city of Newberry, Florida, annexing certain portions of unincorporated Alachua County that includes parcel number 01925-010-000 as more particularly described in this ordinance, as petitioned for by the property owner pursuant to section 171.044 of the Florida statutes, making certain findings, providing for land use, zoning, and land development regulations, and the enforcement of same, providing directions to the clerk of the commission, providing for a severability clause, and providing an immediate effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2024-16 upon its reading by title only.
Are we going to just read the individual parcel numbers each round?
No, I'll read the titles.
Read the whole
on each
thing?
one.
Okay.
And you have all three.
Yes,
Yeah, we have 16, 17, and 19, correct?
correct.
All right, you've already been sworn in, and before we begin, we will need to disclose any ex parte communications and disclose whether any member physically inspected the property. Ex parte communications are any conversations or transmissions of information that may have bearing or influence on any voting member's decision. We'll begin here to my left. Commissioner Mazon? Myself, I do not. Commissioner Farnsworth? None.
None.
Commissioner Clark? None.
None.
And Commissioner Coleman? None. All right, I'll now explain the order of the presentations that we'll follow for every quasi-judicial item before us tonight. Assuming nobody else enters the room, we won't repeat it, but it will have a accepting the staff overview, the applicant presentation, the applicant presents their application, staff report, and recommendation. Neither of those have a time limit. Third-party intervener. We're not aware of any on these, I assume? None? Okay. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. Then we'll have the intervener representing 3. The applicant may cross-examine, the party interveners may cross-examine, staff may cross-examine. Members of the decision-making body through the chair may ask questions of the staff, applicant, party interveners, and the participants. Final argument will be made by the applicant, party interveners, and then the staff, related solely to the evidence and testimony presented at the hearing and introduced into the record. City attorney will advise the decision-making body of the applicable law and the factual findings that must be made to approve or deny the application. Deliberation of the application will follow, and then after the deliberations, a vote will be taken to approve with conditions, or continue or deny the application altogether. John Paul, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John Paul Perez, Planning and Economic Development Department. The request before you tonight, as read by the city attorney, is 3 requests for voluntary annexation. These are folks that want to be a part of the city of Newberry, so this is not a referendum type involuntary annexation. These folks are joining our community. And staff's recommendation for all of the annexations tonight is a recommendation of approval. This is second reading, so I'll keep my presentation brief. There are 3 annexations. I'll just go through the name of the owners, the parcel number, and the associated ordinance number that'll be adopted tonight. So ordinance number 2024-16, the owner of the property is Jamie Nelson. That parcel number is 01925-010-000. The property consists of 4.76 acres. Ordinance 2024-17, the owner is Daniel Shore. Umberto P. Alonso is representing him for parcel number 0442-000-000, consisting of 9.85 acres. And finally, ordinance 2024-19, owned by Paul and Pamela Smith, for parcel number 04258-002-000, consisting of 30 acres. All of these parcels will come back in the future, or I'm sorry, 2 of them will come back for land use and zoning change. That last one for ordinance 2024-19 lies in the Alachua County Growth Management area, and so they currently today and in the future will have county regulations for their property. So we'll coordinate the reviews of any building permits and whatnot with the county to ensure compliance, but
They're building, anything they build goes through the county?
yes, yeah.
Why?
That's part of the smart growth area for the county, which was passed by referendum, and I forgot which year, but it's like a control mechanism for the county to make sure that those properties, they retain some sort of control over those properties for identified reasons. So,
I reckon we ain't smart enough to do our own permitting.
well, I mean, the fact is today
This is the county a long time ago?
yeah, this was a number of years ago, and they're currently unincorporated, so
Passed in 2020.
2020, yeah.
2020, that's what I thought, this is something new.
We
Pretty new.
filed an action.
Yeah.
Anything
It's kinda
pre-pandemic
upsetting.
is,
Anyway, go ahead, JP.
sorry about that, yes. These arrows just show the location of the properties as they'll be joining the city limits. These are all contiguous to the city of Newberry boundaries and helping or alleviating the amount of enclaves that we have for the city currently. So, all right.
Range County.
And so these ordinances do request do represent 3 parcels that will be annexing into the city for a total of 44.61 acres. We'll be adding to the total land area for the city. These annexations strengthen the city's boundaries and continuity. Advertisement was done in accordance with statute and city regulations. There were no objections by the interested parties, Alachua County, property appraiser, et cetera. And yeah, that's essentially it for the findings. And again, our recommendation on all ordinances tonight is to adopt on second reading.
And we don't have applicants or interveners at all?
They're not.
You're not an applicant, right, ma'am? No, okay, all right. Okay, so we'll jump down to questions from the board.
How many more enclaves do we have?
I haven't added them up, but I can come back to the board with a total of
All the
holes
light,
in the cheese.
all the light colored area. Any further questions or anything? Okay, no further final argument or anything like that. Mr. Attorney, would you advise the decision-making body of the applicable law and factual findings?
Substantial and competent evidence for all 3 of these.
Okay, any other further deliberations?
Motion.
Seeing none, we have a motion from Commissioner Mazon, second from Commissioner Coleman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, unanimous. All right, the second annexation, 2024-17.
An ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, annexing certain portions of unincorporated Alachua County that includes tax parcel number 04442-000-000, as more specifically described in this ordinance as petitioned for by the property owners pursuant to Section 171.044 of the Florida statutes, making certain findings, providing for land use, zoning, and land development regulations, and enforcement of same, providing directions to the clerk of the commission, providing a severability clause, and providing an immediate effective date. The appropriate motion is passed. Ordinance number 2024-17 as read by title only.
All right, thank you, Mr. Attorney. Jean-Paul, I assume you rest on your prior presentation? No further evidence to submit or anything on that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go to the decision-making body. Any questions of the staff? Seeing none?
Second.
Yeah, do we have any from the public first as well? All right, come on up.
Since I'm in volunteer, I get.
You got it.
Brandy Altman.
Yes.
So we're annexing in more land into Newberry?
So what happens in this process is the landowners apply to become part of the city.
Part of the city.
They're currently, in all these cases, in the county. So
Right,
they
I
want,
get
yeah, they want to be in the city. So they
Right.
volunteer and they apply.
And
We
then-
hear it, and then,
And then do they go through our planning, say if they decide to develop that 30 acres into houses, do they apply through the city or the county?
well, for the first time in this situation, those properties that are, the first two would go through us, but that other one actually
Big
goes
one.
through the county because of that growth management amendment that passed.
Right. I'm just worried about, we're adding more people to our overcrowded
Yeah,
with not enough
is
infrastructure.
that the 30-acre one?
They're
Are
already
they,
here.
I didn't.
Is the
No,
third,
they're already here.
hold on. Is the 30-acre one the,
Explain it, they're already here.
hold on.
Yeah, help me.
Yeah.
So the 30-acre one that you asked specifically
Right.
about, that would actually be subject to zoning changes, et cetera, from the
From the county.
Yeah.
So y'all can
anything
stop
that-
it even if you didn't want it.
We wouldn't have anything to do with that.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So
Now, what do you mean they're already here
It
though?
still doesn't
What's
change.
that?
It's
They're in the
houses
city.
on land that are already here that just won't be part of our city.
But they're not part of our city,
They-
but now they're gonna
They're
become
in our
part of our
city
city.
limits.
I don't even know how that
Hold
works.
on.
Okay.
In our city limits right over here, we have. right through
Unincorporated, I get when you're in the city versus the county, but
Yeah.
this is annexing it into the
So-
city.
Yeah, they would be physically subject to the city. However, with the zoning changes, development, any kind of building stuff, they would actually be subject to the county because of this growth management amendment.
I have no problem with these people. I don't know these people. I'm just worried
I
about
understand.
more people on our
Oh, that
infrastructure
coming,
already.
sister.
You know?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
overall, I'm just saying, just there's more people on our infrastructure. We are already overcrowded,
Tim,
but,
what I'm
okay.
trying to.
I understand what you're
Mr. Mayor,
saying.
What I'm saying is explain that they're already here. These ain't new
Yeah.
people. These are already
Yeah, I don't mind these
in the
people.
county, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But they're just coming into our city.
I think she
as an
gets-
Without a say, so
Yeah.
by the city, if they develop that further into 500 houses, right?
they would be going through the county on that.
Right, it wouldn't have, okay,
Yep.
that's it.
Yeah.
Just
And the
want
Smiths
clarity.
have been here
All right.
for about
You
7
got it.
generations. so
Great, I love it.
They've been here.
You got it.
Thank you.
Okay, so no more, find where we are. Discussion, public, blah, 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 blah. Okay. No other further questions of the staff? Mr. Attorney, you're up.
Competent and substantial evidence. Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
All right, ain't no further deliberations, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Clark with a motion, Commissioner Coleman with a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign, unanimous. That motion passes. Third one's 2419. Mr. Attorney?
An ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, annexing certain portions of unincorporated Alachua County that includes tax parcel number 04258-002-000, as more specifically described in this ordinance, as petitioned for by the property owners pursuant to Section 171.044 of the Florida statutes, making certain findings, providing for land use, zoning, and land development regulations and enforcement of same, providing directions to the clerk of the commission, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an immediate effective date. Appropriate motion is pass ordinance number 2024-19 as read by title only.
Okay, John Paul, same thing?
Staff rests on this prior presentation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, very good. Public comment, you'll have 3 minutes. Any further comment publicly, All right, we'll bring it back to the decision-making body. Any questions of staff? Seeing none. No further final arguments, I assume. We'll move to any deliberations, any further deliberations? Seeing none. Mr. Attorney, advise the board of the decision-making.
Substantial and
Applicable law.
competent evidence, which means that people like John Paul that have a lot of letters after his name, that's what that's all about.
Okay, all right. All right, no further deliberations, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Maison with the motion, Commissioner Clark with the second on that one. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The vote is unanimous. 2024-19 passes as well. We will close the quasi-judicial at this point, correct? We don't have any other?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, we'll bring it back to the regular commission. At this point, John Paul, you have the next item, interlocal agreement with Alachua County E911.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Fire away.
Awesome. So, again, John Paul Perez, Planning and Economic Development Department for the record. The next item is an interlocal agreement between Alachua County and the City of Newberry for 911 emergency addressing services. This is a very ministerial type of agreement. It's just establishing process. The last one that we had was from 1999. Our recommended action for this afternoon is to approve the agreement and authorize the city manager to execute that agreement. We will then transmit it back to Alachua County where they'll hold a public hearing and do the same thing. So the agreement's good for 1 year and has an auto renew. So this is different from how we've typically interacted with the county for addressing services. It's just been based off that prior agreement. They have new management in, and there's been some updates to the Emergency Number Association that just clarifies procedure, and that's all this agreement does. It doesn't create any sort of obligation or financial burden for the city. It's just memorializing what we're doing already today. So, in summary, some of the findings: Florida statute authorizes coordination between local governments. This agreement just formalizes the process that's occurring currently. It's being updated to just recite some of the requirements from the National Emergency Number Association. It accounts for evolving technologies used in the process. Back in 1999, they didn't use a lot of computers for addressing. It was a lot of paperwork. The agreement reflects that. The new agreement refers to quicker turnaround times, expedited process, et cetera. And again, no fiscal or impact on resources for the city. So, and these are a recommended motion to approve the agreement and to authorize the city manager. And I'm available for any questions.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and read the resolution, which basically authorizes and adopts the entry of the interlocal agreement.
Okay.
This is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry approving the interlocal agreement with Alachua County Fire Rescue for the addressing service agreement, authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the agreement, repealing all resolutions in conflict, providing an effective date. Appropriate motion is to pass resolution number 2024-30 upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, do you have that one? You have that? Right?
Resolution should be in.
It's in the expanded one packet, right? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to put on the floor for discussion.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Farnsworth with the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Coleman with the second. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Motion passes unanimous. All right, that's number 8. Moving right along, number 20, City Manager. Florida League of Cities voting delegation selection.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do this every year. So the League of Cities has an annual conference. It's in August of every year, and it's usually in South Florida. Somehow this year it's going to be in Hollywood, Florida. And it's an opportunity for us to go learn kind of what some statewide issues are, legislative issues or environmental issues or just population growth issues. And so we're asking for 2 bits of information from the commission tonight. One, would an elected official like to attend that conference? I think recently Commissioner Mazan attended. I think Commissioner Martin has attended in the past. Commissioner Coleman, I typically attend. This year I cannot. But the first thing we're going to do, they're asking us to identify a voting delegate. At the convention, they vote on a number of things, and a representative from each city would be that voice, so we need to select that. But it only matters if we're attending at all, because we're not voting by proxy or voting by mail. So if an elected official would like to attend, we have the funding in this year's budget for them to attend, and we can get you registered and in a hotel. Can't get you in the hotel because that closed up very quickly this year, but in a nearby hotel. And then if we establish who's going, then we would request that that person be nominated as our delegate, and we will provide all the documentation to the League of Cities so that when you get there and you're voting, that they accept your vote and they don't try to whisk you away and find you a confined space.
All right, I appreciate it. Has anybody already entertained this? This is the annual conference
Correct.
packet that's on the dais here. Was anybody already willing to step in, wanting to go? Commissioner Coleman, no? Did you say no?
That's a no for me. I got a son getting married.
Oh, okay, all right. We got 3 no's on this side. Commissioner Mazon, did you have any interest?
Absolutely.
It's Saturday, correct?
It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is what I have.
That is correct.
I'll take it.
Thursday,
You guys are
Friday.
busy? You guys are busy?
I'm going to the FMAA conference and I'll be out of town, so.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything on my calendar at the time, but I'm willing to defer to you. Do you just need a head nod, or you need an actual
Well,
motion?
we need a head nod on who would like to attend, and we'll get them registered, and then we need a formal motion
Okay.
to make them the city's voting delegate at the
Okay.
League of Cities.
Would somebody like to nominate Commissioner Mazon to be our designated?
I will nominate Commissioner Mazon to be the voting delegate for the Florida League of Cities.
You have a big smile on your face.
And I'll
today.
second that.
They love you.
Yeah, I'm going to a 3-day already, so it's going to be going to another.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth and, Commissioner Clark, and a second by Commissioner Farnsworth. Any further discussion on the delegation?
Second was here, right?
He seconded the second. He was too late.
I didn't hear him.
I've got it.
So first is Clark, second is Farnsworth. Any further discussion on the delegation decision? Seeing none. The public, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hell, yeah.
You know what, it needs to be here. It needs to be Orlando.
He likes it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, the motion passes unanimous.
Vote on that when you get there.
Yeah, when you get there, tell them to come on up North Florida.
I'm sure it changes. I think I went, it was in Orlando. Didn't we go together? You and I went?
Us three went. You forgot
go?
about me?
That's easy to do. All right, no, I don't see any other further business on our agenda, and we will move to comments. City Manager, you're up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, just notice the commission that I will be out of the office from Wednesday, August the 7th until Friday, August the 16th. Jamie and/or Dallas will be in charge. While I'm away, I'll be available by cell phone if you need me, and it's urgent. I may be in the middle of a rapid river, paddling my guts out, trying to keep my head afloat, so I may not be able to take your call if you need me, but I'll get back to you when I find my phone. Our next budget workshop is Tuesday, August the 6th. We're going to be discussing the enterprise funds. I don't think anyone needs to be notified, but I'll just remind you anyway, Southwest 4th is under construction. And it's gotten quite a little bit of commentary about it, but you get out the gate with a brand new restaurant opening and adding a turn lane on a dead-end road with 350 homes at the end of it. There's bound to be a little bit of what we would classify as growing pains, and had a water main leak today that resulted in a boil water notice, so that was just icing on the cake, as they say. But we're going to get through it, and we'll be better for it. Think we'll get things moving between the traffic circulation and the water main leak that we had. We'll have all that covered.
Was that due to construction?
It was.
Yeah.
It was, and we anticipate that, it's not uncommon. This one actually wasn't someone digging it up with a piece of equipment, but they were using vibratory roller, and it was an old service, and it just kind of crumbled from the vibration, something you couldn't really plan for. Also mentioned to the commission, I'll have more details later, the traffic signal that we approved as part of the site plan for Highland Park, and the commission has agreed to pay a cost share. It was denied by FDOT. So that's a little bit of a curveball. Now, FDOT did not deny the concept of a traffic signal, but what we had approved was a four-way traffic circles with two turn lanes, which was something that Newberry had been pushing for. FDOT thinks that there's some rule that says that the spacing is not right for that. And you've seen some of the new traffic signals that, well, you can't go where you want to go. You can turn here and then go down and do a U-turn and get to where you want to go. That's what FDOT is advocating for. So I think there are some more conversations to be had about what the community wants. I was under the impression after numerous meetings with DOT that they were fine with what was being surprised, and it really caught us by surprise. We were off guard for that. But FDOT kind of shrugged when I spoke to them initially about it and indicated that, hey, there's a written rule about this, and we can't violate that rule. So back to the drawing board a little bit. I want to find out specifically what it means for our site plan approval. In terms of, it's been approved, but it was approved clearly with the concept of that traffic signal being as depicted, and it's not going to be as depicted. So as soon as we learn more about it, we'll do some research this week and be able to report to you better what it means in terms of their site plan approval and what the expectation is moving forward. Thought that was just interesting to bring to the Commission's attention. Mr. Chair, the Commission was aware that we sought $350,000 round numbers in funding to restore the historic power plant, and we set aside $350,000 in Wild Spaces funding as match funding. We had a $700,000 project, and so it was approved by staff and got on a ranking list, and then we had to wait for the budget to come out, the approved budget, and see how much they funded and whether we would get funded. And at last reports, the project will be funded, and we are now just waiting on the agreements from the state for the funding. And once we get all the paperwork addressed and returned, then we'll start moving on the renovations for that facility, which are to update doors, windows, make it habitable, put in parking, put in restrooms, get water and sewer to the site. We're getting a lot of work done for $700,000, but it's been a little while since we talked with you about it. So just assurances that we are moving forward with that project this fiscal year.
Mike, does that include the renovation of the motor that's in there, the electric generator?
It does not include renovation, but the lease agreement that we are developing and a request for proposals for someone to occupy the building at the Commission's direction, that includes language that indicates that generator would be part of whatever they're proposing on, and that it would need to be maintained or renovated and be part of whatever they're offering to the public. The scoring criteria shows that if you propose to take the building for public purposes, you'd get higher scoring than if you propose to take the building and make it an office for you and 3 other people. So, you get points. The Commission gets to ultimately decide who would be in the lease of building based upon proposals received. And we've had restaurants approach us, and we've had at least one brewery approach us as a tasting room. So there's some interest with getting some folks in there that would make the building open to the public. And to your question, restoration of the generator, and a part of that so that the public can come in and see it is part of the RFP that you've asked us to put together. Mr. Chair, the last week we conducted a listening session, community listening session. It was conducted by Downtown Strategies that are leading our downtown redevelopment initiative to help us develop a plan. So that was, we had good turnout and had really good conversation. We kind of started the day with a meeting of key staff, stakeholders. We did a downtown walking tour and did an hour and a half, 2-hour workshop with a dozen residents that came in, gave their ideas on things they'd like to see. So I found it to be a very productive meeting, a lot of enthusiasm coming away from that. We expect to get a report within 4 to 8 weeks, and once we get that report in, we'll share it with the Commission and then weave it into the upcoming budget to the extent we can, and then upcoming budgets after that moving forward. And just for the Commission to be aware, we haven't set a date yet, but we are planning a groundbreaking ceremony for our City Hall project. It'll probably come pretty quick. Got a planning session this week, then we'll try to get something on the books so that we can get it scheduled in August or September, no later than that. Mr. Chair, that concludes my comments.
Mr. Walker?
Nothing to report.
You don't want to mention your boss?
I do need, I was thinking about it.
Partner?
Should say,
A little bit of different, we were talking about.
We can hear his tie from here.
That's right.
And I see you move the city attorney's table down to the lower level.
We're just packing on a little too much poundage of.
Mr. Folds and I used to come over here and when Newberry Road was two-laned and we'd leave the office at 7 o'clock and be here by 7:30, and Miss Mentally Norfleet would tell us to remove our jackets because there's no air conditioning in the old municipal building. And meeting would last, we would go to dinner and be home before the start of Monday Night Football. That was our Monday nights back
Fair
then.
enough.
That was a few years ago, though.
Fair enough. Well, good to have you tonight.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
I don't have anything, thank you.
All right, we'll start here. Commissioner Maison, we'll go
Absolutely.
left to right.
Sure. So from downtown Main Street, they had another successful splash day. The next splash day is going to be August the 5th. No, yep, August the 9th, my bad, from 5 to 7. And they're also, downtown's excited about the strategy meeting they had with the city, and they're looking forward to being more involved and helping out with that. I would like to thank the staff for, we had a concern, I think Mark Clark knew about it, on the northwest side with the speeding over by MLK, and so they put up some stop signs, and so that helped out tremendously. So I want to say thank you to the staff for putting a hand in on that. There was one more, but so I know, right? Everybody looks forward to this one,
Yeah.
but this one's easy. So you know why popcorn pops?
The water inside boils and
My man.
expands.
Because the water. Did you know that?
There's a water droplet.
There's like
It's kind of like you threw us off. That's a science question. You
is.
have some kind of like crazy name for it or something.
It is.
No.
No, it was, yeah, there's a little water on the inside that's causing it when it heats up, it can bust, and you get that nice fluffy white popcorn with a little sea salt on top of it, a little butter. Good job. Go ahead, you got I got a second on that one.
The only comment I had, I put on Facebook, I was really happy with the fact that the strategy person picked up on our spirit of volunteerism here in Newberry. I think that is a keystone of what makes our community great, and just keep it up. Commissioner Farnsworth? Commissioner Clark?
Couple things, the splash thing, I was out of town, and my grandbaby, I reckon, will be the next fireman. He's excited to.
Evidently.
That was pretty good. So he really enjoyed it with the firemen, and they did a great job with the young guys and girls there. When the meeting with the strategists, is the CRA, Mike, I know since Brian's left, have we got somebody back in place? Not yet? Like for the downtown stuff, really ain't much going on yet with it. Did they come up with anything?
Well, they will come up with quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that in Brian's absence, I think if downtown is feeling like it's a little bit directionless, I think that's more to do with summertime than anything else.
Well, I was
as
wondering
soon as we get into
getting our monies out there, and we just ain't seen nothing yet.
that in the fall, the Main Street's going to pick up with their Friday night, First Friday movies and things all the way through Christmas, when we do things for Halloween and we do things for Christmas.
We're gonna get them reindeer this year.
We're working on that. It's a long list.
I know. Anyway, I'll say that. I do appreciate it.
It's a great program that they're offering for us.
Yes.
Great service.
And God bless America, and God bless our troops downrange. So,
Commissioner Coleman?
Yeah, I was just wondering how long, that's plenty of time for, to put this vote in front of the citizens. Are we looking at that we didn't have enough time, or we do have enough time? That's really, I guess, directed at Judy, isn't it?
Put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
We do have time, but there's
I would think the deadline to get anything printed on the ballot is going to be 60 days out, right? To get it
Mr. Mayor,
printed? Is she going to have them printed that early?
are you talking about the general obligation bonds? Getting it on the April election will be a tight time frame. We don't have the option to get it on the elections this year. There's a lot of front-end work that'll have to go into that
Oh, I'm sorry, was that your question about trying to get it on the November ballot?
No.
Oh,
not-
April.
April.
Oh, April.
I'm confident we can get on the April ballot. It will be tight, but I think we can do it.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
One more thing, I think we gotta maybe look at how many roads and the money and all that.
Well, we have
I mean, I know we had the thing 2 weeks ago, but
right.
I guess all that will be in that, right? So to inform the public.
Well, do you think it's going to raise the level of having a meeting dedicated just specifically for that, you think?
I think it'll be an agenda item or two specifically for that, because the way I understand what is being proposed, we're not talking about just Southwest 46. We'll talk about our entire road plan, and the commission will identify the road segments that they would like to make part of this program based on scope, location, and total cost. But I expect we'll do that in the very next coming months and get all that refined so that we can get it on a ballot, whatever the commission comes up with for the April election.
I would speculate that our priority through September 30th is the budget, though.
Yeah.
And then we can pick it up after that.
Correct.
Commissioner Farnsworth, you had follow-up?
I do. Instead of putting it as a increase in the millage rate, can it be put in as an assessment? I mean,
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, the City Commission does have the option to enact an assessment. We would have to hire a consultant and develop that program, but that is certainly an option. I know the mayor is a big proponent of that, and we've looked at a couple of different assessment programs that we think would work here, but it's up to the commission ultimately if you want to go an assessment route or the general obligation route or some combination of both.
but can the citizens vote on an assessment instead of an increase in millage rate? is what I'm
They
asking.
can, this may be more the city attorney's role, but they can vote on a non-binding assessment, like a straw poll, to say whether or not they'd be interested in it, but an assessment would ultimately need to be adopted by the city commission.
Correct.
Where the general obligation bond is adopted by the city residents.
Okay.
And you tend to get better debt rates with a general obligation bond because you're pledging the full faith and credit of the city.
Okay.
Very good. Public comment? 5 minutes on the board. No.
I'm Brandy Oldman. So I just want to say thank y'all for putting that on the ballot for us to vote on. I do appreciate having input and where my dollars go. I don't appreciate not having any input where the dollars go for the charter school. So I want to just name off a few things that we could potentially buy with that money. So we could get bleachers at the soccer fields. Right now, our kids sit on the ground and the parents sit on the ground, which I'm not too good for. But we could get bleachers. It could buy a lot of bleachers. We could have a fireworks show. It would pave roughly 700,000 plus foot of sidewalks. It could be 4,400 hours of extra duty hours for field service techs for like traffic control by the school or something. It could be 50,000 Bev's burgers. It could be 2 full-time teachers for a year. We could plant 2,000 trees. That could pay for an awning to cover from the portables to the lunchroom. It could be 40,000 student meals. It could be 200 plus student new wardrobes. We could buy them clothes. It could be at least 10 new playground equipment sets for each of the parks. Not each of the parks, 10 total. It could be 200 plus scholarships for the safety patrols at the school, which could fund it for 2 years in totality. I don't know how many schools apply, a lot of them. And it would give us a mid-level commercial grade splash pad. I've looked these numbers up, so I do know what I'm talking about. Copy machines for the schools. Every taxpayer, if we're going to split it that way, every taxpayer could get back $15 in taxes. Every park could have like misters for some liquid shade, like they do at Busch Gardens, you know? There's just a lot of ways that we could better spend that money, and we didn't get a say in that at all. I just want to ask, like, When did y'all stop being good stewards of our tax dollars? That's your money, that's my money, that's all, and we didn't get a say in it like we do with this, whatever this was, this, ballot thing for the roads, right. So I think that money could be better spent elsewhere, and we as citizens had no say-so in it, and it's going to be for a failing vote. It's going to be. I've written every one of y'all, actually. So if y'all could just actually, I want to ask you to motion to reconsider the loan. And it would probably be better if Mark Clark recused himself because, conflict there, kind of, because your daughter, I don't know.
It's not.
I don't think legal conflict. Yeah, I don't think legal conflict. I think it's just conflict that you could kind of wash your hands so you don't get them dirty here. But if anyone could motion to reconsider that would be great. And I think that we have a lot of budget questions that Mr. Coleman intends to read to the mayor when he comes back. So, yeah, that's just my little 3 minutes. I want y'all to kind of talk to me, though. I hate not getting answers.
Yeah, your points are well taken. I think, I know from my perspective, what I had communicated to you via email was strictly that I think it's in the best interest of the city.
You think spending our money without a vote?
Moving forward. Well, here's a little bit of a splitting here. You have a voice in everything, in a voice in everything through us as the elected body. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to agree 100% of the time. But you have the strength of the ballot box too come April for the people that are coming up also
I'm ready for it. Yeah.
to change that as well. So
yeah, might need some change up there because we had more input in this or less input in this than we did in a Wawa. That's unacceptable to me as a citizen of Newberry for a long time now. I don't know, 12 years, something like that, somewhere around there. And I just think we could spend this money better from a budgetary standpoint, even not talking about the vote, but it's going to be much more than this $200K is going to be.
Well,
you're going to be reaching into the millions. You're going to be reaching in the millions.
Yeah. Well, your point's well taken. I appreciate you being respectful.
Thank you. And I always am. I wanted to mention Newberry News did a poll on this. Taxpayers in Newberry, 90% said.
I saw that, but I didn't have time to go through to see who was
right. I didn't check everybody's credentials. Thank you.
Understood. Any other further public comment? Okay. Yes, sir.
I wanted to thank the fire department. This past weekend, didn't they have a fire to tackle? And they used the Quint, right, for the first time. And it was such a huge, so good job to them. I mean, they did a great job using that Quint.
Bunch of rock stars.
Yeah, they are rock stars. I went over there and what was it, like a lightning that hit it? Yeah. But anyways, I thought of that when you were talking about I was like, man, I want to give them credit. Good job to our fire station.
Thank you for mentioning that. Miss Stacy, they're not, Stacy with an E. They're not always this short, but they are usually more entertaining, so, anyway. All right. True. All right, no further discussions. The meeting is adjourned.